On the 11th day of Tradmas, the internet gave to us men. Hello and welcome to the 12 Days of Tradmas. If you're new around here, my name is Kit, and Tradmas is a series I do in December where I talk about the harmful beliefs and ideas promoted by certain influencers, content creators, and so on. Basically, my normal content, but more of it and with a festive flair. And today, we're discussing pro-patriarchy men. Now, is it just me, or are there more trad wives, or trad wives to be, out there than trad husbands, or trad husbands to be? I suspect part of it might be that men are allowed to have interests beyond home and family, and are not encouraged to make them facets of their personality, if not the entirety, but I also think, well, if you contrast a pro-patriarchy woman's social media with a pro-patriarchy man's, I think there will be a whole lot less women, and possibly a whole lot less men, interested in the idea. This video is a companion piece for Women Against Women's Rights, so be prepared for another casual chatty video, but of those 8 women, only 2 have husbands with a social media presence. Bernadine, married to Lawson, and Rachel Wilson, married to Andrew. Both men are really into patriarchy, but they go about it in different ways. Lawson is focused on selling his mentorship courses, and Andrew is into debate, though of course he has stuff to sell too. And though Lawson mainly sticks to teaching men how to lead and the joys of marriage, sometimes he wanders off track. Telling a modern woman no, a timeline. Ladies, strong language warning. Step 1, mad AF. Step 2, passive aggressive. Step 3, bipolar, mad, happy loop. Step 4, I want to have your babies. As silly as it is, it's all a test. She wants to know that your no means no and that you have the balls to back it up. She wants to feel safe with you. She knows that her absolute worst is still too weak to protect herself from the harshness of this world. So she's giving you her absolute worst to see if you can handle it. If you can handle her with ease, then you must be able to handle the world as well. You stand your ground, and like an episode of The Twilight Zone, suddenly she's in love with you again. What's up with that? The truth is, she never fell out of love with you. She fell into fear, and she was begging for you to make her feel safe. It's stupid. It's not fair. It simply is. Reality number 1. Women are hardwired to seek security. Reality number 2. Modern women have varying layers of feminism slapped on top of that. Reality number 3. You must pick a woman with the least amount of feminism possible and give her the security she craves as you lead her out of it. You want to be a strong patriarch that turns this chaos world around? It's time to start doing strong patriarch stuff, like telling her no and sticking to it. Quit complaining that your woman has some modern world problems. So do you. And as the leader, you get to grow up first, and then show her how it's done. If you want her to be a sweet trad wife who happily fills your gut and empties your balls, as the saying goes, then you're gonna have to be the strong patriarch she needs and find them first. And ladies who made it this far, pardon the crassness, none of this negates your own responsibility to grow up and be his helpmeet. It's time to stop giving tests and become the student. God made him your leader. Listen to him. You'll be blown away at what happens. And then on a separate thread, they choose to die out and be replaced by us. All because they hate the family. It's a numbers game. We reproduce. They don't. They can't win anything without endless immigration and mandated LGBT propaganda. Patriarchy is the clear future. Who is they? And I'm so curious about what Lawson thinks feminism is that women need to be led out of it by a man. Though if I had to guess, I suppose it's a woman having the gall to think she has any form of agency. Moving along to Mike, former co-host of the Masculine Revival podcast and yet another men's coach. So Mike reposted Timothy Gordon, I'm sure some of you are familiar with that name. What a woman is and supposed to be: obedient, the glory of man, man is the glory of God, man's helpmeet, virtuous, and obviously a biological female. Sneak peek of our new documentary below, What a Woman Is. And then another bit of wisdom from Mike. Homeschooled and unvaccinated children are the future. Am I the only one getting tired of men who are very into gender roles, telling women what they are and are supposed to be? They just want women to slot neatly into their world without allowing for the complexity of humanity, and it's getting old. And no, homeschooled and unvaxxed children aren't the future, because though homeschooling can be done well, I highly doubt these children will be receiving the education necessary to make a living in the future, not to mention all the diseases they'll be catching as a result of being unvaccinated. For herd immunity to work, a certain number of people need to be, my jaw hates this word, vaccinated, and we're already seeing resurgences of measles and pertussis. Anyway, anyone remember AJ Cortez? He spoke at the Make Women Great Again conference a couple years ago, and now he's building a fertility startup to help couples conceive naturally, which is interesting because his content is usually about fitness and sometimes feminism. Millennial feminism is dead. The women who were hardcore feminists, they are now 35 plus and unmarried, childless. They cried over Hillary, put on pink hats in the Women's March. They spouted the most virulent anti-male and anti-natal rhetoric. They popped birth control and shouted their multiple abortions. And what did it get them? Nothing but SSRIs and alcoholism and ugly crying. Meanwhile, the conservative women they hated so much are married with kids. And being a feminist has become a dirty word among Zoomer girlies that means you're ugly and annoying and boys don't like you. It is so weird to me that people just eat this stuff up because it doesn't make sense. Hardcore feminists are only over 35, and they both hate men and take birth control, but have also had multiple abortions. But they were also fans of Hillary Clinton, wife of Bill Clinton. I don't think AJ knows as much about feminism as he likes to pretend. But then, on his corner of the internet, you don't need to. Anyway, anyone remember Elliot Hulse? He was a fitness bro for a while and built up a large following from that. And then, should men get married? The importance of traditional marriage. In 2022, I ran a small coaching group for men who wanted to find a worthy woman to have a traditional marriage and family with. It seems that today, this is a very challenging thing to do. Most people don't even understand what a traditional marriage is. One man, one woman, traditional gender roles, lots of babies, and marriage for life. The way our great-grandparents did it. I know that sounds like an impossible dream for most guys, but I've seen what an amazing traditional marriage looks like in my own parents. Out of my father's 10 siblings, he and my mother were the only ones to stay happily married going on 50 years. I can tell you there's a big difference between being raised in my home with loving, committed parents compared to many of my cousins who came from broken homes and now themselves create broken homes. It was because of my parents' commitment that my wife and I have a model for what marriage should look like. I love being married, and I believe the benefits of marriage have greatly added to my life. But I'm not blind to the mess that marriage has become in our degenerate age. So sometimes it might sound like I'm contradicting myself when I tell men that marriage is a trap. But that was by design. As a Catholic, I'm constantly reminded that Satan's major attack in our world is on marriage and family. I'm determined not to let him win, not in my home and not in the homes of the men I coach. This morning, I was pleased to discover that 3 of the 20 men in my program are getting married next summer. Each of them has found a very feminine, traditional woman. It just so happens that all of them are Catholic. I'm not saying that's a magic pill, but at least they have the same values and the conversation is clear. They know their roles, they play their parts, and marriage is for life. And then he goes on to advertise his King for Life membership. And really, I probably should have figured he would be a coach too, and does it really pay that well that you can support a family on it? Anyway, I saved the worst for last, and of course that includes biblical gender roles. One of the greatest features of sex within marriage as God designed it is, men don't have to care if their wives are in the mood. They just take their wives when and how they want to. Whoso findeth a wife findeth a good thing. Proverbs 18:22. I think it's well known by now that Larry twists the Bible to suit his own desires, and that's basically what his content is. Whatever a man wants is biblical because he's a man and God designated him as the head of the house. And now, Andrew Wilson. I must say, for a patriarch, he seems to get involved in a lot of petty online drama, and in between that and mocking people, he also posts things like the following. The amount of ugly women who think men want to rape them is incredible. Many women lie about being raped for social status with other women. The saddest part about this is legitimate rape victims have to deal with them and can't say anything to them even if they know they aren't telling the truth. I don't know what would possess someone to post things like that. And he proudly calls himself a Christian. Actually, all these men call themselves Christians. Well, Mike and Elliot are Catholic and very much want you to know that. In conclusion, being a traditional woman is about judgment, being a traditional man is about control. And I think this content appeals to men who feel patriarchy hasn't really worked out for them the way it should have, the way they think it would have if they had been born in the 1930s. But on the bright side, they can still lead a family and be in control somewhere, if not government or some high-power career. Respect is promised simply because you're a man. It doesn't matter who you are, within reason, or what you've done, again, within reason. Simply by virtue of being a man, you are head of your family and they have to listen to you. And I can see why this content isn't as appealing. You really only need to follow one of these men because they're all posting basically the same thing. And that thing is basically trying to sell you mentorships on how to be a man. That has to get boring. And honestly, it was, and that's why this video is so short. And that's it for the 11th day of Tradmas. Thank you so much for watching, and I would like to give extra thanks to my patrons. My socials and Patreon are linked below, along with sources and resources, and I'll see you in the next video.